Namaste, Venkatji. Namaste, everyone. Welcome to the fourth room we have session on Aparokshanubhuti, with Bindoji guiding us through these very nuanced steps of Aparokshanubhuti. So the replays of all the previous three rooms and the earlier sessions are available in Clubhouse if you go to the house, or you can check the YouTube channel, which I pasted on the chat. So the link for the text and the commentary that goes with the text is pinned up on the top of the room. And for those who are interested in the Sanskrit test, there is a link again available in the chat, which takes you to just the text. And general, house rules we follow is that we close the chat and hand raising when Bindoji is presenting and is guiding us. And after that, we open up the chat and hand raising, at which point you have half an hour to come up and ask questions, discuss things, especially with reference to what is discussed in Aparokshanubhuti or something that is close to that. And then every Sunday, we have an open discussion with Bindoji, where you can have more open discussions about Advaita, some and related topics. And then the following room again is on Wednesday, which will be Aparokshanubhuti-05. And with that introduction, over to you, Bindoji.
Thank you, Prakash, Atmisha and Prasad. Welcome all. We'll go ahead with the next session number 4. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamshirshibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashikritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murtibeda Vivakine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Aparokshanubhuti. Sri Harim Paramanandam Ubadeshtaramishwaram Vyapakam Sarvalokanam Karanam Tam Namamyaham. So in the last class, we completed the second mantra, second shloka of the Aparokshanubhuti, namely Aparokshanubhutirvai prochade moksha siddhaye sadbireva prayatnena vikshaniya muhurmuhu. So the Anubandha-catuṣṭayam of the book and the doubt therefore arising out of the opposition or the pratiyogi also was answered into that. So we will start the third shloka today. svavarṇāśrama-dharmena tapasa haritoṣaṇāt sādhanam prabhavet pumsam vairāgyati-catuṣṭayam. Now, having explained the fourfold requirement for a treatise, here Acharya is talking about the sādhana-catuṣṭaya. svavarṇāśrama-dharmena, by performing one's own duties to the stages in life and the order of birth. Tapasa haritoṣaṇāt, by austerities and propitiating Hari, Sri Harim Paramanandam, that Harim, pumsam vairāgadi-catuṣṭayam sādhanam prabhavet. For men of dispassion, etc., fourfold means of sādhana-catuṣṭayam, prabhavet, arises. So this fourfold requirement for a apt adhikari or an apt student will arise by performing the duties as well as the required austerities and propitiating Hari Sri. Here, the beauty is that in this one, contrary to the standard definition, sādhana-catuṣṭaya is standard definition is viveka, vairāgya, shat sambatti, mumukshutva. But here, Acharya Shankara is starting it with vairāgyādi-catuṣṭaya. Let us look how Swami Vidyaranya is commenting upon that. The first statement itself is a purvapaksha. Nanu karyasya karana adhinatvat purvokta sadhana-catuṣṭayasya kim karanam iti ashankya aha svavarṇāśrama-dharmena atra swashabdena mukhya gauna mithya vedena trivideshu sakshi putradi dehadi lakshaneshu atmasu madhye mithyatma ayogyatvad grihyate. So, the objection is that the effect is always dependent upon the cause. Karyasya karanadhinatvad. Karanadhinatvad saryasya. Means the dependency for the effect on the cause is well known. So, what is the cause of the previously mentioned fourfold qualification like sādhana-catuṣṭaya? So, sādhana-catuṣṭaya is a karya or an effect. By svavarṇāśrama-dharmena tapasa haritoṣaṇa is what has been mentioned. So here, the answer is given is that the sādhana-catuṣṭaya is an effect or a result of sadhana by the performance of one's own duties, svavarṇāśrama-dharmena. In the svavarṇāśrama-dharma, there have been threefold bifurcation in that. Mukhya, Gauna and Mithya. Mukhya and Gauna is primary, secondary. Gauna is the false. So what is the Mukhya Dharma or Mukhya Swa in the self? There, svavarṇāśrama-dharmena. So Swa, the word is for the self, for one's own. That is what that self is now being categorized into three. Ashrama dharma is for the body. Okay. So there are three aspects of swa when the word swam or swa is being used. One is the sakshi, the witness itself. The second one is gauna, means secondary, which is related to the body. That son, roles and relationship, etc. of the body itself, like the father, the son, the teacher, the student, etc. All of them are coming secondary. But apart from that, there is a mithyatma. Mithya means false. False atma is performing dharmas and etc. What are they? Deha, dehadi, which are apparently the self. Because when we associate with ourselves as embodied with this physical, mental, intellectual body, we have roles and duties, responsibilities, all laid down by the association of these three factors of physical, mental, and intellectual. So, when we have that, there is then the relationship with secondary relationship which are born out of that mithya atma, like the father, the son, the teacher, the student, etc., husband, wife, etc. Among these, the mithyatma, the false self, is not accepted for the basis of the cause due to its ineligibility. That is, lakshaneshu atmasu madhye mithyatma ayogitvat na grihyate. So, ayogyatvam is only for the mithyatma. Therefore, it is the mukhyatma, the true self, that is ultimately the cause and or support of sādhana-catuṣṭaya. Because the sādhana-catuṣṭaya is happening to the physical body, mental body and intellectual body. And that itself cannot be the cause. The physical body, the mental and intellectual body cannot be the cause and the effect. Therefore, the cause has to be separate from that. The cause here means it is not causing. The effect is felt in the mind-body complex, physical body complex of sādhana-catuṣṭaya. Viveka is in the intellect. Vairāgya is also in the intellect and the mind. And Shat-sambhati is through the mind and the intellect or the physical body, etc. All of them. So body, mind, intellect is the place where the effect is seen. So the effect, when it is being seen, the cause should be something superior to that. Even though karya-karana, sambandha, the cause and the effect are not separate but interdependent. Therefore, there has to be a mukhyatma, which is the witnessing self, present in the physical, mental and intellectual body to do the analysis intellectually of the viveka and bring in the effect in the mind for the vairāgya, etc., samadhama, etc. So therefore, the cause, even though it is inseparable from the witnessing aspect, is inseparable from the physical, mental, physical body, the controlling power is not in the body, mind, intellect, but it is in the Sakshi Chaitanya. The Sakshi Chaitanya is the one where the viveka, when it is being done, we can shift our association from the intellect and the mind to the Sakshi and analyze ourselves. See, here we have to understand one thing is that, as my example of the other day, movement of a train inside the train cannot, or a plane cannot be visible or it cannot be understood. Only when you look outside, in relation with that only we can see the effect of change of the speed of the vehicle. Same way, here, when we are doing viveka and vairāgya, if we are already deluded with the idea that we are the physical body, the viveka will not be able to identify what is the nitya and anitya, what is eternal and what is ephemeral. So when we are asked to look into the eternal and ephemeral, we need to disassociate our existing mental or physical or intellectual identification with our physical body or mental body, intellectual body, to the Sakshi body or the witnessing self, and then look from there whether it is Nitya, which is Anitya. That is the time when we will be able to say that the Sakshi is Nitya, the Dehadi is Anitya, because that has undergone the change. But when the body and the mind and the intellect is undergoing the change also, the I amness of the body, in the body, is not going through the change. So where is the I amness located? When we do for that, we need to locate ourselves to the Sakshi Chaitanya. the one which is able to see the body, mind and intellect as an object. So that is what here it is referred here as the inability of the physical body. Physical means here the body, mind, intellect. That is ineligible for becoming the Nitya. Therefore, Sakshi is the one which is to be considered as the Mukhya Atma, or that is the supposed to be the one which is the place where the effects are being directed. So, next, Tasya Dehadehe Brahmanadi Varnaha Brahmacharyadya Ashramaha Prayuktena Dharmena Brahmarpana Krita Karmanushtana Janyena Purvena Purva Mimamsa Prasiddhena Pavifala Ādāra Bhūtena Punyadi Shabda Vachyena Ityartaha Tata Tapasa Kritra Chandrayanadina Prayachittena Ityartaha. Now what does it mean? Tasya Dehadehe, the body, along with the social order such as Brahmana, Varna, Brahmacharya Ashrama, it means the stages of life, like Brahmacharya, Garhastya, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa. Anushtana Janyena, by giving arising out of all these things, by the Brahmanadi or the Brahmacharyadi, identifying with any of these things, and karma performed by offering to Brahman. Brahmarpanam is the way in which karmas are being done even in the Purva Mimamsa. Brahmarpanamastu. That is the way in which it is being done. So what is happening is that when it is being offered to Brahmarpana, in the form of offered to Brahma, as per the Purva Mimamsa, apurvena, Purva Mimamsa prasiddhena apurvena, that is Purva Mimamsa, the Karma Kanda or the ritual aspect, is the formation that what links between the action of the religious duties and the result, phala. There is a link between them which is not within the realm of human perception or understanding. Therefore, they called it as apurva. It's a technical term of Mimamsa. Apurva is the one which links between the action and the result. And apurva is controlled by Ishvara as per the Purva Mimamsa. Pavi phala ādāra bhūtena. That is the one which ādāra bhūta means the one which is giving rise to the fruits of action in the future. Punyadi shabda vachyena iti artaha. Punyadi means punya and papa, both. So, adrushtam or apurva, both the words are used. Apurvena, Purva Mimamsa prasiddhena apurvena, that is the Purva Mimamsa, is the one which is talking about this apurva. And also, there is tapasa, there is a one word in the shloka, tapasa, haritoṣaṇa. So what the tapasa is indicating is Kritra Chandrayanadi Prayachittena ityartha. Tapas means austerities. What are that? Kritra and Chandrayana are the two type of duties performed by the Purva Mimamsa people. For one is by creating rest house for the wayside rest houses and feeding those who are travelers with free food and rest. That is one. Then digging wells in the drought-ridden places for both human beings and Vapi Kupatataka. So that is what is being created. That is also is part of the tapas. Then prayaschitta. When you know that you have got an obstruction in doing any activity, either in the yajna or in the kritra chandrayana or these activities, if an obstruction is happening, they will know that there has been obstruction and they have to do a prayaschitta, means a remedial act. The remedial act is for setting right the obstruction for the correct doing again. So that is also coming into tapas, in the form of tapas. So these are the way in which the methods in which, from Purva Mimamsa point of view, what is happening for the purpose of what you call the Chitta Shuddhi and Sādhana-catuṣṭaya Prapti. Now, for example, if you want to compare between the Purva Mimamsa and Advaita Vedanta, prayojana, goal, or what are we working for? In the Purva Mimamsa, the attainment of Swarga or heaven and other desired results like Putra Kameshti, Pashu Kameshti, Dana Kameshti, all those things are the Purva Mimamsa goals. Whereas Advaita Vedanta, the goal is Mukti, Mumukshutva or Mokshaicha. That is the Advaita thing. So, it is not the Purva Mimamsa what our goal is. The core instrument for the Purva Mimamsa people are karma, ritual actions. That is yajna, dana, tapa, karma, all of them. Whereas the Advaita accepts only jnana. Jnanat evatu kaivalyam. Or that knowledge alone can make you mukti or the liberation. The key concept difference between the Purva Mimamsa and Advaita is that in the Purva Mimamsa, they accept an apurva, an unseen potency created by the ritual action. Unseen potency. That is what I said, what links between the action and the result is called apurva. Whereas in Advaita, the core key concept is Aparokshanubhuti. Direct and non-mediate, means immediate experience of Brahman. That experience of Brahman itself is a liberation. And causes of result is karma generates punya or papa, which bear fruits via apurva. The karma creates apurva, and apurva will give you punya or papa, means merits and demerits. Punya is merit and papa is demerits. Whereas in the case of Advaita, avidya is the cause for the bandha or samsara or the bondage of life. And the liberation, what we are talking about, the feeling that we have a birth and we have a death, we are embodied by this physical body, etc. This is a result of ajnana or avidya. And the only remedy for that is jnana. Jnana removes the avidya instantaneously. There is no time delay between the jnana utpatti and the mukti. Shravana samakale eva jnanam. That is the Shravana. As soon as you hear, you have the jnana. But if you have doubt, ajnana samshaya viparya, that is the word you need to work on your chitta shuddhi or the removal of the ignorance. That is also part of the ignorance. The scriptural emphasis for the Purva Mimamsa is vidhi and nisheda from the Purva Mimamsa part of the Vedas. That is ritual portions of the Veda, where it is saying what is to be done, what is prohibited, when is to be done, when it is not to be done, etc. All the emphasis is being done in the Purva Mimamsa. Whereas in the emphasis for jnana in the Advaita is Upanishadic Mahavakyas, Tattvamasyadi Vakyan. So, that is the one which will yield the Ajnana removal and the Jnana Prapti for the Advaita, those who are following the Uttarakanda or the Uttara Mimamsa, not the Purva Mimamsa. The methods of purification in the Purva Mimamsa, Yajna, Dana, Tapas, Prayaschitta. These are the 4 purification methods. Yajna means oblations into the fire and propitiating your Ishtadevata. Dana means giving, alms and free food and rest place, etc. Tapas is the austerity which I told you, Krishna, Chandrayana, etc. And Prayaschitta. If any one of the 3 above has got a obstruction, that has to be rectified by doing a Prayaschitta. The purification method for Advaita is sādhana-catuṣṭaya. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. All these put together. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana coupled with sādhana-catuṣṭaya. Sādhana-catuṣṭaya are viveka, vairāgya, shat-sambhati and mumukshutva. So, the methodology is totally different between these 2. The role of punya in the case of Purva Mimamsa is that it is absolutely essential, and without punya you don't achieve your results. So to achieve the punya you have to do Yajna, Dana, Tapa, Prayaschitta also for the future results. Whereas in the case of Advaita, the role of punya is not there. But it is punya is accepted by Advaitin also as a preparatory requirement for Chitta Shuddhi, not for liberation itself. So the tapas, etc., which is there for Advaitin also, is only for bringing the Chitta Shuddhi, not for any other purpose. And the core, the final goal is the Atman, not even discussed by the Purva Mimamsa. Because they think the kartrutva, identity is rooted in the role in the kartrutva, is in the dehadi, in the body itself. They don't consider Atma separate from that. Even though they have the word Atma, they consider the body as the Atma. Whereas Advaitin, the true formless, actionless Sakshi witness, that is the level under which we start the activity. After the Chitta Shuddhi, we will be starting with the Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swabhava of Sakshi. But ultimately in the Brahman, the word Brahman, Atman or Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta, Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, none of them work. They are not operatable there in that level. When at the level of what you call Brahman or Atman. So here, Swami Vidyaranya is saying that Puna haritoṣaṇād bhavat prītikarat sarvabhuta dayalakṣaṇād karma visheshād etaihi tribihi sādhanaihi vairāgyādi catuṣṭaya rūpam sādhanam moksha sādhakaha dharma visheshaha pumsam prabhavet sambhavanayam ling yad evam anvayaha. Sambhavanayam ling. Okay, it's a bit of grammar here. Punaha, again, or moreover, haritoṣaṇād, by pleasing Hari, Lord Hari, or haritoṣaṇa, or appreciating him, acts that foster love for God. Bhagavat prītikarat. Haritoṣaṇād Bhagavat prītikarat. So Bhagavat prītikarat is where love for God is considered as the second one. Sarva Bhuta Daya Lakshanat Karma Visheshat. That is the karma characterized by the compassion and empathy towards all being, not anyone excluded. Sarva bhuta daya lakshana. Through these specific means of the three types, that is haritoṣaṇa, bhagavat prītikarat, sarva bhuta daya lakshanat, karma visheshat. These are the things. Etaihi tribihi. There arises particular kind of dharma in the people, which becomes the support or the cause for the vairāgyādi-catuṣṭayam, for the purpose of the onset of vairāgya, viveka, षट्सम्पत्ति and mumukshutva. So here prabhavet, the word is used in the case of sambhavana, that is sambhavana ling. Ling is a optative mode in the grammar to indicate the possibility of sambhavana, means possibility of that happening. That is the construction in which prabhavet has been used in the by Swami Vidyaranya in that. So there is a chance for the sādhana-catuṣṭaya, vairāgya, viveka, षट्सम्पत्ति to arise by doing the three, which is the haritoṣaṇa, bhagavat prītikara, and sarva bhuta daya lakshana. By doing these, that one who is embarked on the process may achieve the vairāgya, viveka, षट्सम्पत्ति and mumukshutva. svavarṇāśrama-dharma rūpena tapasa kṛtva yat haritoṣaṇam tasmād iti yadyapi sādhana-catuṣṭaya vivekādi kramena hetu-hetumat bhavaha tatapi vairāgyasya asādhāraṇa-kāraṇatāṁ dyotayitum ādau grahaṇam kṛtam iti bodhavyam. So, asādhāraṇa-kāraṇatāṁ dyotayitum ādau grahaṇam kṛtam iti bodhavyam. That is, what is that? He is saying that here, the vairāgya has been mentioned first. Ādau grahaṇam kṛtam. In order to indicate its special causal importance. Asādhāraṇa-kāraṇatā has to be understood. Why did Shankaracharya deviate from the viveka, vairāgya, षट्सम्पत्ति and mumukshutva to vairāgya, viveka instead of viveka, vairāgya? So he has placed vairāgya as number one. Swami Vidyaranya says that it is for the special purpose that it has got a special importance, causal importance. Asādhāraṇa-kāraṇatā. So, by performing austerities, tapasa, svavarṇā-śrama-dharmena, means by performing the āśrama duties, haritoṣaṇa, by pleasing Lord Hari. Tasmād, thus, although the components of sādhana-catuṣṭaya fourfold discipline is starting with viveka, etc., the sequential has been replaced by Acharya Shankara by putting vairāgya as the first, because it has got a causal importance even to develop viveka. Unless vairāgya doesn't come, the viveka will not be perfect. See, here is the importance. We may think viveka, or the discrimination between the nitya and anitya, or eternal and ephemeral, will help us to develop the dispassion or vairāgya. But Shankaracharya has put vairāgya as the first. Only a person who has a dispassion or who has fed up with problems in life of the mundane living, he will only look for the cause where I can get a permanent happiness. Just because we are telling, or the Upanishad is telling that this is Nitya, this is Anitya, we are not getting the development of our dispassion for the Chitta Shuddhi. Therefore, Shankaracharya has placed vairāgya has to be number one. Unless you have the dispassion with the current set of parameters in life, doing these things, svavarṇāśrama, you may do it mechanically. We know so many people who are going mechanically to the temple or the church or doing so many things. They have no compassion or, feeling for the other beings in this world. They live a clockwork life. If it is such and such a day, I have to go to the church or the temple or the mosque or whatever may be that this thing. And if it is on a special day like Lent or Navaratri or, your Ramzan or this thing, you have to do this thing. But while doing that, it is mechanical, automatic. There is no contribution from the mind or involvement to develop dispassion and the discrimination which is required for the emancipation or liberation. Therefore, only people who are fed up of this mechanical living are being driven to even think about the knowledge for discrimination. Therefore, it is very important that vairāgya is number one and the others are following this thing. But in the standard one, viveka, which is a discrimination between eternal and non-eternal, and the function is that it initiates quest for the truth, set the goal as Brahman alone. Only one who knows that what is the one thing which is eternal is Brahman. And it is the foundation which sparks the need for dispassion and discipline, etc. Whereas dispassion or detachment, vairāgya, is for all this mechanical life, ephemeral things, pleasures which are, coming and going. They are not nitya. Nitya sukham, nitya shanti, or eternal happiness we are not. Either in this world or the world hereafter. Once we have the vairāgya, it frees the mind from attachments. The mind is the one where the vairāgya breeds, where the attachment also breeds. So, where the fire is, you need the fire extinguisher. Since the attachments are in the mind, the fire extinguisher of dispassion also has to be necessarily in the mind. This strengthens our viveka to make the discrimination between the eternal and ephemeral. It also brings us the calmness and concentration as an effect of the Chitta Shuddhi. Then, Shat Sampatti. What are the sixfold virtues? Sama is the mental quietude. Dhamma is the sense control. Uparati is the withdrawal of the internal senses and the activities of the mind. Titiksha is a forbearance or endurance. Sakhanam sarva dukkhanam apratīkāra purvakam. Without even a iota of revenge or, hatred, there has to be a sort of forbearance. Forbearance not out of helplessness, but out of what you call knowledge. Shraddha is what is the faith in the process and the path. And the samadhana is the last one, is the mental stability and discipline and clarity of seeker's mind. It has to be, it cannot stand alone. It needs vairāgya and viveka as the wings like for a bird. So samadhana can only be established with viveka and vairāgya supporting from either side. And the mumukshutva is the burning desire for liberation. It is a natural outcome when you have the right amount of viveka and vairāgya. You will not be interested in anything in the mundane world, but the mumukshutva, the freedom. The freedom that is the motivational fuel for enhancing our capacity in vairāgya and viveka also. They are all interconnected one way or the other if you look at it. So even though they have been categorized, they are all interdependent on each other. Therefore, they have to be pursued with the help of one another. Now, Acharya goes to the next sloka, vairāgyasya surūpa. What he is explaining, what is vairāgya. Brahmādi stāvarāndeshu vairāgyam vishayeshvanuhu yathaiva kākavishtāyam vairāgya tadhi nirmalam. Just as the repulsion towards cow dropping, such should be the attitude or aversion towards everything in life. You don't want it even to be associated with, even if you want to remove it, which has fallen on a seat or a shirt or a dress. You won't remove it with your hand. You will need a tissue or something else with which you will remove it, and you will put the cloth for washing. That is the what you call repulsion you have for the crow dropping. The crow dropping is only an example. How we have a repulsion for that should be the way in which repulsion to every enjoyment or every attraction that is coming in our day-to-day life. They have to be repelled with our mind, and for that you need the viveka also. And that has to be tadhi nirmalam. The attitude should be pure. It is not that we are going to get away from everything in the life and seclude ourselves so that nothing affects us. You will be an utter failure. Unless there is heat, wearing a warm cloth is of no use. Your sweater or a jacket or anything is required for a cold climate. But for heat also you need protection. If you are going closer to a furnace or anything, you need proper attire for that. These insulations which we have between the attractions which are coming to us and our mind which is getting attracted towards that, not to engage with it with a repulsion, can be successful only when we have the viveka, in the knowledge, right knowledge, that these attractions are ephemeral, they come and go, and they are not going to give me a permanent happiness. That is the reason why the word nirmala, that tadhi nirmalam is used here. Kīdrisham tad vairāgyādi-catuṣṭayam iti ākaṅkṣāyām tat swayameva vyachashte brahmādi iti ārambhya vaktavya sa mumukshutaha ityantena slokeshu षट्काम्मा केन ग्रन्थेन तत्रादौ वैराग्यस्य लक्षणमः ब्रह्मादि स्थावरान्तेषु इति ब्रह्मादि स्थावरान्तेषु satyalokadi martyalokandeshu bhoga sadhaneshu anu karmajanyattvena anishtyattvam lakshikrityam ityartha. Kīdrisham tat vairāgya ādi catuṣṭayam iti ākaṅkṣāyam. Suppose in response to the question, which is that what are the nature of the fourfold discipline beginning with vairāgya? So it is explained in the text itself, beginning with the word brahmādi. Tat swayameva vyāchaṣṭe brahmāti ārabhya vaktavya sa mumukṣuta. Ityandena shloka षट्का manakena grandena. So tatra ādau vairāgya laṣanamaha. So here the thing is that brahmādi and ending with mumukshutva. This section consists of 6 verses. Starting with this verse, there is a continuous 6 verses. Starting with vairāgya, this is the first one. And from here, next 5 verses after this is completing the fourfold characteristics of sādhana-catuṣṭaya. In that, the first characteristic of vairāgya is defined in this one, stated. Brahmādi stāvarāṇdeshu. Beginning, meaning, starting with the four-faced Brahma, creator Brahma, down to stāvarāṇdeshu. Stāvaram means immovable object. So starting from the creator to the insignificant rocks and etc. That is, among all the objects of enjoyment, which Brahma is in the Satyaloka, suppose the highest celestial place from where he is doing the creation. Martyaloka, the human world, the earth, where the death and birth and death, everything takes place. So Satyaloka ārabhya Martyaloka paryandam. All the things which is starting from the Brahma to this world, which serve as instruments of experience, bhoga sadhanaihi. By recognizing their ephemerality or impermanence due to being a product of karma or a produce of karma. Because even the Brahma has got his state of Brahma, the creator, because of his purva janma karma. He has done a karma and he attained the Brahmaloka as a Brahma there in the Brahmaloka. Or those who people go to the Brahmaloka also are the effect of karma with which they achieve the Brahmaloka, but they may not even become a Brahma, but after many births and death, they may even achieve a Brahma status. But everything recognizing them all are being impermanent and a product of karma. The one who does the viveka analysis should develop dispassion towards even the status of Brahma or the creator. This is the intended meaning of the summary of the meaning. Vairāgyam ichārahityam tatra drishtantamaha yathaiva iti yathaiva kākavishṭāyam vairāgyam garbhadādi vishtājām api kadāchit kasyachit jvara ashantya artha grahaṇecha bhavati. Ataha kākavishṭāyām grahaṇam upalakshanam etatyādīnām vishayeshu ichcha anudaye vairāgyasya hetu garbhedam visheshanam aha tat iti hi yasmat tad vairāgyam nirmalam rāgādi malarahitam. So, what does it here say? Let us analyze it one by word by word. Vairāgya is defined as the absence of desire, which we know. Ichārahityam. To illustrate this only, a comparison is being given as cow dropping. or a crow dung, not a crow dropping, or crow dung, or whatever may be that. What is a crow dropping? It is the most unwanted thing for a human being, as identified by this Swami Vidyaranya here. Even other droppings, for example, the cow dung or a donkey dung, are under very rare circumstances desired by, for some purpose. For example, cow dung is desired for burning, in place of fuel. They make cakes out of that and dry it, so that during monsoon season, the wood which is not dry, which they pick up from the forest, in place of that, they use the cow dung, which is made as cakes. Cow dung cakes are used in place of fire. So even a cow dung or a donkey dung is desired at a certain circumstances, whereas a crow dropping is never desired by anybody. Therefore, the example is lakshanartham, upalakshanartham, what is the reason why that has been used. The absence of desire is what is the indication by this usage, by a symbolic representation of crow dropping. Nobody can ever have a desire towards crow dropping. Whereas, as I said, for a cow dung or a donkey dung, there are people who are using that for different purposes. Therefore, absolute non-desire is in a crow dropping. Same for the qualifier vairāgya, described that way, has to be pure dispassion. There is dispassion, semi-dispassion, or opportunity dispassion. There are 9 types of dispassion. As per, I don't remember all of them. Prasūti vairāgya, the smashana vairāgya, like that there are 9 vairāgyas categorized in the Shastra. There is when you go to a cremation ground or you see at a funeral, there is a sense of dispassion, or, what is this life after all? One day I have to be here. So there is no this thing. There will be a temporary dispassion. That will be over after you come back and have a shower and then you get engaged with your regular activity. You will forget about the visit to the cemetery or to the cremation ground, and that vairāgya or the dispassion will be also forgotten. The same is prasūti vairāgya. The dispassion or lack of desire or hatred or wanting to avoid during the pregnancy time, the pain and the torture, everything what the female go through, they will say, I'm not going to have a second child anymore. This is first and last, no more. There will be a dispassion and temporary, vairāgya for it. But when the child comes and the sweet face and playing around, everything growing, they themselves forget about the dispassion what they had during the pregnancy time. They will be having the second child or the third child or the fourth child or whatever may be the number of children they have. Each time they will have the dispassion and they will forget about it. Like that those dispassions are not nirmalam or pure. That dispassion here we are talking about is absolute non-attachment or desirelessness to every enjoyment in the life, which is coming out of knowledge and making us understand that they are all ephemeral, they are all time bound, they have a beginning or they have been achieved during effort. So whatever comes in effort, has a beginning and therefore an end. Nothing has remained permanent with anybody and everybody. You are seeing around the world and looking at people, whether that is happiness or wealth or health or anything. Life is not immortal. Happiness is not permanent. Enjoyments are not everlasting. So whatever way you look at it, something which we are looking for permanency is not visible in any of the things what we see in around. Therefore, that dispassion for everything in this world, that is why it has been mentioned as from the Brahma to the stones and the sand, etc. Everything has to be dealt similar to the dropping of a crow. Because I don't want to touch it. I don't want to be maligned with that. That should be the attitude with which the dispassion should be in us. When that dispassion has to be pure, it has to be coupled with the viveka, the discriminative power to differentiate between eternal and ephemeral. This is what Prakash asked me last question. So this, now the viveka, which we will take it in the next class, next Wednesday, we will go into that detail. But how viveka is helping us to develop the vairāgya here is by making this distinction between eternal and ephemeral. We will take the viveka in the next class. Vastu viveka swarupa. Nityatma swarupam hi drishyam tad viparidakam. Evam yo nischaya. Samyak viveko vastuna savai. This shloka we will take it in the next coming Wednesday. We will have the normal question and answer session on the Sunday or open house. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyawada.
Heartfelt thank you, Bindoji, for a very a profound interpretation of vairāgya and viveka and vairāgya, how one can work with the sādhana-catuṣṭaya with reference to this fourth room on Aparokshanubhuti. Thank you very much. The hand raising is open, so is the chat. So if you have any questions or any things that you want to address, you can put it in the chat, or the hand raising is open and Bindoji is available for another half an hour. So please come up and ask questions.
Namaste, Ellen.
Yes, namaste. And I know I haven't been on, many of the calls. In fact, I was showing up a half hour late. I thought it was 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. But I just had a quick question, regardless. Non-attachment or detachment feels like such freedom. But when you were talking about, although crows are my favorite birds, but, repulsion of crow, shit, whatever, that feels like an attachment. For me, the freedom has been in I don't mind, what comes, what goes, within, without, So it feels a bit freer. So I just wanted you to comment on that if it does make sense, because repulsion, even renunciation, feels like a doing to me, and it feels like an action. It feels like a resistance. So it doesn't, it's not experienced by me as the freedom I'm mostly experiencing throughout most days, not all days, but I feel fairly free, but I have it's more like a stepping back, a detachment, but not. Yeah, I don't know if this is clear. I hope so.
I got it. I got it. Well, and you are absolutely right. We may have a dispassion or a non-attachment attitude. What comes, what goes, doesn't affect us. That attitude is fine. But what here we are talking about is, it is not for the purpose of our successful living in this world. It is for taking us from what we think we are. See, what comes and goes doesn't make, even if you are not attached to that or doesn't get affected by that, doesn't arise us, give us with the knowledge who we are. We cannot turn our attention inward to who we are just by being neutral to the events in the life. Here it is the insistence, so that even for an iota of a second, you should not be extrovert or looking towards the world outside for solutions. Your solution is right within you yourself. To take this turn inward, we need to turn our sense organs and mind from external engagement. To enforce upon this aspect of importance of turning inward, the effect of mind and sense organs, if they are neutral, will not help us to turn inward, and it need to be even having a repulsion to whether things are wanted or unwanted. It is not the matter. I am not interested. Even for an iota of a second, I should not be even, taking my effort to acknowledge or even their passing phase of them in me. That total detachment means disconnection with the mind and sense organs to the world outside, will help the mind focus inward. Only an inward turned mind can know our true nature. And knowing our true nature is the goal of Advaita. Therefore, this aspect is instilled till you know yourself. After that, you be a non-attached. You will be a person like a lotus leaf in the water, born in the water, living in the water, dying in the water, but not getting wet even for a second. That type of a life is possible only if you know who you are in true self. That is why we are talking about the crowd dropping as an example.
Oh, I appreciate. Yes, no, what appears is not who we are. And I love, my favorite really scriptures are really the Avadhuta Gita and the Ashtavakra. But that's really what I'm staying with these days. But I guess I feel like it's maybe a first step. But I guess what I was saying is for me, the transcendence is not minding really anything. And to me, that feels like absolute freedom. Beyond freedom, beyond bondage, if it makes sense. So I hear you. Just the word, and it may be a word thing, but just repulsion or when people say renunciate or all that, it feels like an action, and it actually feels like a tie. I feel like I'm connected. If I'm repelling something, I'm attached to it. Whereas if I don't mind whatever thoughts, sensations, emotions come up within me, or whatever appears in the so-called outer world that's only in our minds. But, whether it exists or not, no reason to argue. But the point is it's all in the mind. So I agree it's 100% inward journey. But I guess for me, at this stage, the freedom I've felt is in having less preference, less, it's just not minding. I sound silly. It's the last words of Krishnamurti, I know, but they stunned me because I don't mind. And for me, that just feels, beyond if that makes sense. Repulsion feels like more like a first stage, but I feel like the bliss is just in the being. Yeah, I hope it makes sense.
Yeah, you are right. See, this is mainly told to people who embark upon this journey, because this book is a treatise for beginners, actually speaking. Not for those who have already understood the path and proceeding it on their, they have, like you, who have read the Gita and the Ashtavakra Gita, Jai Krishnamurti, etc. For you, this beginner's book may not be there, but this year we are addressing absolutely the one who have no idea how to proceed with. But he has heard about it and he wants to do it. To help such people how to be totally detached has to begin with repulsion. Only when they know repulsion, they know there is a beauty in the detachment or dispassion. That is something when they realize and they start moving away from the attachments.
Perfect. I get you. Thank you so much. And I didn't know the readings. I only know the Advaita. So thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you all. You're always welcome. Namaste, Venkat.
Namaste, Binduji. Binduji, look like today a lot of real issues are brought to the center. I'm happy that vairāgya brought to the center. And that is, I think I want to go a little deeper on this now. I know all the sādhana-catuṣṭaya, the moola karana is that Brahman Atman, in its own presence, all this are, to be in place for a seeker. Viveka, more reflected in buddhi, the intellect, the discriminatory faculty, and vairāgya, more on the manas and less on the buddhi. For a reason, it is deep-rooted, subconscious. The dispassion has to be deep-rooted. Otherwise, like, a child experimenting with fire, touch the fire to understand, okay, it is going to burn me. Then there is a repulsion get developed. Next time it sees a fire, it knows, to withdraw. So it is deep-rooted during the developing years. So dispassion is deep-rooted. It is, you throw a candy, show a candy in front of the child, then all of us, with all that, she starts crying and then grab the candy. The life is like that. It keep attracting with various, objects of attraction. The dispassion is a fundamental standing without which the contemplation itself fall apart. Now, this vairāgya, now let's talk a little more on vairāgya. Now, you brought Purva Mimamsa. That was a great opening. Even compassion before dispassion. The Purva Mimamsa talk about living the life of compassion, living a life of austerities, dana, yajna, prayaschitta, tapas. Beautifully put in, this somewhere we are losing that very conditioning environment and try to, know this by intellect. All the sādhana-catuṣṭaya by intellect and try to understand will fall apart. It is in my case. That's why I'm so insistent. The deep-rooted setting has to surface one way or the other. That vairāgya, I think, that temporary vairāgya and smashana vairāgya, or each of these 9 vairāgyas you talked about, seems like, getting into contemplation to finally discover that this itself is missing is a counterproductive exercise in path of jnana. This is what I arrived at, Bandhavji.
Yeah, you are right. See, each one of us has to analyze our own strength and weakness and work upon that. But the real test for our strength and weakness will come when it is put to test. We may think we are dispassionate, we are, free and neutral. But the real test will come when life throws a challenge to us. That is why so many examples are given in our Puranas, like Vishwamitra and Menaka, etc. Look, the thing, and that they know, the nature knows how to attract us. That is why the nature is called as Prakriti. Akarshanam. Prakarshena akarshayati. Iti Prakriti. So, it is the way in which nature itself has been designed. We are also part of that nature. So we may be attracting somebody else, or we may be an object of attraction to somebody else. We can't help it, because that is the way nature is like that. So a child may be attractive by being a child. It is no fault of the child. Or a child, a chocolate may be interest of attraction, or a toy must be of attraction. So each one of us, we will know where we are strong, where we are weak, only when we are put to test. But should we waste our life for the full life to be over, to be tested when we will fall or when we will not be falling? So before that, we should take upon this attitude of repulsion or, aversion. Aversion is a guard. Actually, it is not an onslaught on the nature or the things which are, there in the nature which is attracting us. Some people are doing all those sorts of nonsense in the name of, vairāgya. It is not what is that? It is the guard with which we will be living at the same time, whatever may be the circumstances under which we are tested. As long as we are guarded, we will not be hoodwinked by the beauty of the nature, beauty of anything what is coming to us. But the test will be only when we are put to test. What is that test? We don't know. Any moment in our life, such a test can be thrown at us. It can be a health issue, or it can be a wealth issue. It can be a social issue. It can be any issue, family issue, or it can be an issue between husband and wife. Anything. But in all the situations, to remain at the same mental stability and equipoise, for that you have to develop this dispassion as a guard for yourself. As long as your guard is on, you can feel that you are, but that guard is not only it is not your permanent protection. You have to grow beyond the guard. That is only initial stages, what I was telling Ellen. Initially, the guard will be functional. That is why people going into caves and doing meditation. But when they finish off their meditation and they come back, they become the most abominable people or incorrigible people in the world, because they have not been in the society, or they do not know how to be operating in the society. So seclusion is not solution. Living in this world with the guard on, you have to be always protecting yourself from getting waylaid or attracted by things in the world. Anything can be. I told you, the nature itself is like that. So to guard ourselves, we need to be always on our tender hooks, or thinking of the Damocles sword on our head.
Agree, Binduji. Dispassion versus suppression eventually explodes. Highly disciplined child, when it steps out into the world, the behavior itself show up. Anything suppressed even in growing up, or limited resources to unlimited resource later, more abundance later. Explosion, I think any suppression will have its own weirdness when it explodes in various ways. I think that is a misplaced dispassion. That's a suppression really. What I figured out is, this is a weird example. Went to this marriage during a lunch hour. There are two marriages going on, in the same chowltry. It's a two sections. We happened to enter the wrong, meal, and we ate. Finally, coming out, we met the groom and bride, and they put us into lunch. By then, we were like so full, and it was like a torture to eat. That means if you're full, the takeaway is if you're full and you can't eat, that fullness was lacking. The incompleteness was the root cause. While loving the marriage food, finally figured out you will never love if you're full. That incompleteness is the root cause of desire, and desire driving the that attachment, etc. That underneath the structural, the structure underneath to be looked at, driving what is attachment and desires, may be worth looking at. And this vairāgya is fundamental, placement even before viveka. I think thanks for bringing that up. This was highly placed. It was real for me today. Thank you, Binduji.
Thank you, Venkat. See, everything in the life, as you rightly said, for the marriage and the feast, there is a diminishing value for utility of everything in the life. Those who have studied economics knows it much. But for us also, you may be given things which you are having as gift. That is the time when you really go, I already have this. That gift has lost its value if you don't have it. If you have it. If you don't have it, the gift has got a different value. These are all the minor, small things in life which we don't observe or notice. Like that, you told about the food part of it. The gift is another one. And sometimes, pleasures in life. If they are more frequent, you don't value it. But if it is rare, you have a special, observation and acknowledgement towards that. Even though the value and the measure and every way it is a repetition, the repetition is not seen as a boredom, but as a attraction. So how our mind works is quite unique when it comes to reaction from our side. So our reaction from our side has to be pure, nirmalam. What we say, talk with that is, only when we develop this repulsion aspect to every attraction as the same, without any, gradation or differentiation. My purpose is I need to attain, or I need to know, have the knowledge for Brahman. That one goal, everything else is in the category of dispassion for me. That is the final way in which we need to move on. come what may be, the knowledge of my true self or Atman or Brahman, that is the only attraction I have. Everything else is pro-shit. That's it. Nice with it. Thank you. Namaste Ganesh Prasad.
Namaste Binduji. Today's lecture actually bashes our minds because so important an aspect for the journey to be started, the first step and the foremost, viveka. And incidentally, Acharya has changed the sequence that vairāgya should be in the first place in order to achieve viveka. And finally, you told that at all levels they are all interdependent, and we have to take it as a cumulative effect and considering all things at once or interdependent manner. And my question is, when you mentioned 9 vairāgyas, in which abhava vairāgya also comes, and even I do not know all the 9, but I heard somewhere that all these vairāgyas are very temporary due to the onslaught of the life's sad incidents or life's scarce situations. This vairāgya comes, but only vairāgya that could be helpful in the path of the spirituality is bhakti jnana vairāgya. And there bhakti and jnana are both placed in that context when I heard that. And listening to your lectures, in the jnana marga of vairāgya, I mean Advaita, vairāgya appears to be, maybe we are not dhiras as you said, so vairāgya appears to be an impossible task. And bhakti, personally, I feel it takes on with vairāgya, it gels with vairāgya more. And as you said in many of the lectures, only a dhira can take this path of Advaita. And today's lecture has really made me how important vairāgya is, and especially when you said it is the crow dropping. And even in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, they say it is just like a yogi's mind is like an eye in the body. Even when a cobweb touches all the other parts of the body, no part of the body would respond. But when it falls on the eyes, it immediately responds. Such should be the repulsion which is compared to the mind of a yogi. And vairāgya, oh my God. Bindoji, we need to, the only resort I feel, it is Sravana Manana Nididhyasana I feel. Thank you, Bindoji. This is what I wanted to share today.
Yeah, you have said it correctly, Ganesh. That is exactly what is. This vairāgya has to be one of the pillars, out of the 4 pillars, one of the pillars for us. Then only we can succeed in our path. Thank you, Ganesh.
Thank you, Bindoji.
Bindoji, can you remind us of the other 3 pillars, just to contextualize it?
Yeah, the other pillars are another one is viveka, mumukshutva is the 3rd one, and the 4th one is shat sampatti. So these are the 4 pillars. We will be discussing one by one. So vairāgya we have completed. Now we will go to viveka. on Wednesday. Viveka, Shatsampatti, and Mumukshutta will be the last. We can close the room. Prashant?
Yes, thank you, Bindu. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'll just remind the audience of our upcoming programs and just give them an overview. So this upcoming Sunday at 8:30 IST, we have an open discussion with Bindoji for an hour and a half. And then the following Wednesday at 8:30 IST, we'll have our fifth room on Aparokshanubhuti. And as Bindoji mentioned, it's going to be on Viveka. So first of all, I want to, again, a heartfelt thank you to Bindoji for such meticulous guidance of how one should approach this mode of inquiry with all its depth and all kinds of contextualizations and the way to practice. I don't think you can get such a rich language and enunciation of the methods as laid out here. So why? And as Ganesh Prasad ji mentioned, the Sravana Manana Nididhyasana is something that you can always engage with. And so again, thank you for all the people who came up to ask questions, Venkat ji, Ellen ji, and all the members in the audience for participating. And the recordings are again available as replays in Clubhouse in the same house, Advaita Vedanta Satsang, or you can go to the YouTube channel, Advaita Retold, which might not be updated for a couple of days for this room, but the other rooms are available there, the recordings. So over to you, Bindoji, to close the room, and thank you.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Atmisha, Ellen, Venkat, and Ganesh Prasad for your questions. Thank you all for your attendance and listening to the class. We'll meet on Sunday for open discussion and continue the Aparokshanubhuti on Wednesday and Friday coming week. Thank you all. Hari Om. Good night.
Hari Om, Bindoji. Good night.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Good night.